Good evening, everybody, and for the 100th time, welcome back to the Tom Broadbent Lounge. Just under 2 years ago, TSTBL hit your airwaves on what was then Twitter Spaces for the very first time. As Sir Tom himself joined Hannah's and Ty to discuss that oh-so-sweet COVID season moment. Since then, we've had a podcast interview with most all Swindon Town players past and present, legends, icons, and everything in between. We've welcomed onto the show numerous members of STFC staff, from previous to current board members, managers, coaches, kitmen and groundsmen. We've hosted live shows, live match comms, and special live events such as the Paul Caddis charity match at the county ground in the summer. We've laughed together on live on air, we've had heated debates, and we've shared our doubts. But the thing that we've enjoyed most of all is getting to know you all, the listeners. The beauty of a live spaces show is the opportunity to involve you all, gauging the opinions of the audience, and being able to read the room live on air. Without you, this whole experience wouldn't have been as enjoyable as it has, so thank you. Now, I think we'd all hoped that we'd have been able to spend the entire show waxing lyrical over current matters at SM1, but hey, this is Swindon Town, and that's not what we do round here. So let's get right into our 100th episode and reluctantly talk about the joys of FA Cup record upsets and November evening trips to Colchester. Now, let's introduce a panel first. So first up, I've got my regular co-host, Ellis Holloway, who has joined us for probably, well, the majority of the shows. Ellis, happy 100th episode.
Absolutely, Joe. What a 100 shows it has been, and hopefully another wonderful 100 shows to come.
Absolutely. Hopefully in 100 show time, mate, we'll be in the championship and laughing.
I hope so, yeah.
We've also have Daz with us. Daz, good evening, good sir. Daz, you're on mute.
This is a great 100th episode. You thought we got the hang of it.
Mate, at the end of the day, it's live.
You would have, yeah,
Oh,
sorry.
I
pressed the wrong
well,
blooming
Daz,
button.
it's live.
Alice,
This is live show. This is live media. This is what it's about.
Yeah, this is what it's all about. Alice, I hope you got your boxing gloves on tonight because I think you're going to need them.
Yeah, I do indeed.
We also have Rockin' Robin himself, Malcolm Day. Malcolm, how's it going, pal?
Yeah, I've been better, but yeah, it's good to be back, and I'm going to try and be as positive as I can. But yeah, I'm not feeling it too well at the moment.
I was going to say, mate, you're my positive beam of light every single week. So
I'll try my best. I'll try. I
promise. Charlie, we've also got Charlie on with us. How we going, buddy?
Good. Thinking about last night, really.
Don't do that to yourself, mate. It's not worth it. We also have a very special guest. He's no stranger to the lounge, but we have Swindon Town icon, I would call him, Mr. Andrew Hawes. Andrew, how's it going, mate?
Happy 100th. Other than that, sluggishly is probably how it's going. I think that sums it up.
Yeah, that's probably the word that I think a lot of people would use to describe matters at SM1 at present. We've also got live from Poland, I would imagine a half cut, Mr. Gabs Benini. Gabs, how's it going, mate?
Yeah, pretty half cut, mate. Won't lie.
Happy days. Well, it helps with the pain.
Hey, we've got a club, haven't we? We've got a club.
Don't you start all that.
It started already.
It started already. Well, now, look, I know that Saturday's abject showing has been mulled over and discussed 1,000 times already on socials. If I'm quite honest, if it were my choice, I'd skip past it and erase it from memory completely. Now, we have to soldier on. So, Saturday just gone, Swindon Town kicked off their Emirates FA Cup campaign with a home tie against National League side Aldershot Town. Well, we kicked off, and then we conceded, and then we kicked off, and then we conceded again, and then, well, you get the picture. Ellis, take over from me, mate. I mean, where do we start with a record 7-4 defeat at home to a non-league side?
It wasn't great, was it? I mean,
I think that's an understatement. Fucking hell.
Look, you'd be disappointed going 7-0 down against like a Premier League side, let alone a National League side. it's where to start. I mean, obviously we conceded so early on, and I think it was just a downward slope from the first goal onwards. It was just flat. It was like no one was trying at times, and it was just without trying to sound rude, it was quite pathetic, really.
Mate, I don't think that's being rude. I think that's probably a very accurate sort of description of how it went. I mean, not that it matters too much, but I guess we'll run through the starting 11. So
Yeah.
Town started Murphy Mahoney in net, Udoka Godwin Belief, Harrison Minturn, Tom Brewitt, Fraser Blake Tracy in defence, Romeo Hutton and Tyree Shade out wide, Sadhu Khan, George McEachran, Dan Kemp, and Charlie Austin. Now, that to me is a team that's worthy of winning many a League Two game, I think,
Yeah,
on paper.
that's the strong side.
It's our strongest side, really. Maybe apart from Jake Young, you could bring
Yeah.
Jake Young into that, and that's probably about it. I would say. Now, look, obviously you conceded a goal within 22 seconds and we're 3-0 down in 8 minutes. I don't think I've ever experienced anything like that. I wasn't at the game. I was having my Bet365 was pinging up with goal alerts while I was in Bournemouth, and I mean, why? I mean, Gabs, we'll bring you in this point, mate. I know you're on holiday and I don't want to take up your entire evening. Why and how did it go so wrong?
Mate, I shit you not, right? So I finished work at 3 and I thought, oh, you know what, I'll turn up about 15 minutes late. As I turned up, I shit you not, hundreds were leaving.
Mate, you can't blame him either.
There's no papering over that. That was I haven't even got the words to describe that. It was that bad.
Do you know what? I think as well,
to a non-league team at home. They took the foot off the gas after 50 odd minutes. They were 7-0 up.
mate.
Well,
At the end of the day, as well.
I'll tell you what, right? We scored the first goal. I looked at my granddad and he said, "Oh, for fuck's sake, here we go again."
Yeah, it was just you just cannot go 7-0 down to a National League side. I mean, the first goal went in, it popped up. I was like, yeah, that's the most Swindon thing to happen. Go 1-0 down to a National League side, but they just kept going in. They kept scoring, and it was just pathetic. And like the whole performance, there's probably two players that can say they played all right, and that was the two goal scorers. The rest were just shit. They offered nothing.
I think as well, it gets to a point when you're 3-0 down within 8 minutes. I think Gabs, you said in the group chat, didn't you? Like before half time, if we get a goal back before half time, we'll go on and win this.
Yeah, they're capable of scoring goals, as we've seen. You know, who on earth scores 4 consolation goals? For goodness sake,
mate!
Consolation
it's baffling,
goals.
isn't it? Yeah. Also, at what point? I mean, I don't particularly. I've written down notes of how each goal happened, and I tend to usually go into a bit more detail around the match. But if I'm honest, I genuinely can't be fucked. I've never been as embarrassed. I was getting text messages from people that I've not spoken to in about 7-8 years. I had a text message from Farnborough's chairman. Obviously, Aldershot are massive rivals of Farnborough. Farnborough's chairman, who happens to be an Oxford fan, which is a brilliant coincidence, was one laughing at me, and apparently it was all my fault, which is lovely. I was playing on the pitch clearly, and also as a Farnborough official, he was quite pissed off that Aldershot were getting 40 grand in the bank from getting through the FA Cup. Now, I had people texting me, and obviously, I'm assuming that most any Swindon fan was the butt of a few jokes over the weekend.
Oh,
Now,
Joe, I've just got over the Wrexham result. I've just got over people, laughing that we drew 5-5 to Wrexham after being 4-1 up at half time, and I've now got to put up with Saturday. I mean, today I can count like 5-6 times that it was mentioned to me.
Thing is, as well, that Wrexham 4-1 was in August. We are now in November, and we are still more open than an 80s porn star. It's ridiculous. You'd have thought by now, right, lads, we're going to work as a sense of shape in training. Haven't seen it.
Well, at what point
what
as
did I put
well?
in the chat earlier? Something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, when there were 6 of them in the boxes, and I think it was like defenders wasting all our time or something like that. It was just,
Mate, at what point does professional pride come into it as well? Like, if you're 4-5-0 down, surely you go, right, we're not winning this, but let's not get an absolute tonking. Like, let's just camp it back, just take it up the arse for 45 minutes or whatever you need to do just to keep the ball out in there. It just didn't happen. I suppose, a lot of people are looking at the likes of, Tottenham this week, even against Chelsea. Spurs got 2 red cards and were up against it, and they were playing the most ridiculous high line
don't even get me
ever.
started. Don't even get me started on that, please.
Mate, but they were getting lauded, right? And that was them being
baffled.
proactive about it.
That's even more stupidity. How people are like, "Oh, brilliant that was."
Yeah, mate, what they should be doing is camping 9 players in the box and go, right, come at us, we'll head it away. We're going to play kick it, head it for half an hour.
Everyone knows for
And we'll play.
starters. Everyone knows for starters. Chelsea don't like low blocks. Everyone knows Swindon can't beat a low block as well, as we've seen it so many times this season.
Yeah. Well, let's steer away from Chelsea because I'm not using our rare time to discuss those.
I think I'm gonna burst.
Right. Anyway, like I say, professional pride and whatnot. Now we have got an STFC and TSTBL legend on the panel this evening. A man that unfortunately had the pleasure of commentating on Saturday's game. Andrew, we've been discussing this over the last few days. I find it almost mind-blowing that you managed to stay so calm and professional live on air during games like the Aldershot one. Now, just how do you do that? Because ultimately, you're a Swindon Town fan before anything else.
Oh, goodness knows. I suppose the only thing you can say about that was that it was so weird, so awful, once in a generation bad. That I think there was a point like that start of the second half where it's like gone beyond anything you can kind of feel angry about. It's just so plain odd, beyond the usual like commentary lexicon, really. So I suppose one thing that sort of not kept me going exactly was this kind of macabre interest in seeing whether Aldershot could avenge a 1983 FA Cup game where they lost 7-0 at Swindon. So that, I think that was sort of some vague kind of thread of curiosity. But the answer is I don't know. I don't know really. It was just, words. Not normally I'm meant to be good at words, but words for that, like I say, it just goes beyond unbelievable, incredible, and all that. It was, I think genuinely the worst. Was it the worst experience I've had watching Swindon compared to the Preston playoff final?
I was going to say, that's a
or your trip to MK Dons 2 weeks ago.
That was a year's worth of effort.
Any trip to MK Dons is always a fiasco on so many levels. But that's another one for another day. And I don't know. At least after a playoff final, at least you've got there. At least you had the joy of a semi-final. At least you've got something to look back on. But from that, like nothing other than the somewhat unpleasant experience of having my yelling about it plastered over the BBC website as well. So, but that's a very long answer when I'm not quite sure. But we sort of stumbled through, and then it all kind of comes out about 6:10.
So, I mean, have you ever seen anything like that in terms of like even pre-season games? I can't think of anything that's ever been that bad. Probably looking back, it's probably last I saw a result like that was like under 14s at school in PE.
No, I can't genuinely think of any Swindon game I've seen that's been that bad, especially when you take in the level of the opponent as well. So yeah, like I said, I think that's why I said like generationally bad performance. 7-0 after an hour, and we know why. And the Scab said we know why it's 7-4. It's because like Aldershot can be they could slightly be bothered when they were 7-0 up because they had an eighth, which probably wasn't offside. And who was it? I think Stokes, who scored that, was absolutely furious. It was disallowed as well. But once that had done, they were like they were done. They just wanted to start bouncing up and down in front of the TV cameras and holding banners and all that nonsense. So the four possibly made it just stranger, but as a performance, not any better.
Andrew, I was just thinking how you held it together, like you said, but you didn't manage to start crying like previous commentators have. So that's with all due respect to the late in football broadcasting terms, Stuart Mack, I'm quite glad that didn't happen. That just struck me as a bit that just struck me as a bit unprofessional at the time. So no, I held it together. I haven't been like lying in a ball curled up at home quite, but I can very much sympathise with your experience, Joe, of having people you've not heard from in years suddenly text me. I think I had a quick look at my phone in the second half. I think there were 5 messages. A few from our like regular summarizers, all like, "What's going on? What the hell is it?" So what the hell? And then like a couple of people who I haven't heard from for years. We're going back a long time in my broadcasting, but I did. There was a spell where sort of Aldershot, one of the teams I was involved with a little bit, very much in sort of secondary or third way. So there are a few ghosts from that past who had to pop up and say hello, obviously.
The funniest thing I find with that sort of stuff is the fact that it's always directed at you directly. Like, what are you playing at? I'm sorry, I'm not playing in net for Swindon Town today. So obviously you mentioned there about previous commentators losing calls. How do you find it staying composed? Like, does the constant stimulation of having to keep up conversation actually help you sit through something like that? Because I'm not sure I could muster a single sentence if I was in your position watching that.
Yeah, no, I guess you literally have to keep talking, which helps. I mean, obviously you've got the co-commentator along you who can kind of help up a bit, and I guess when I'm kind of doing it, well, there's not a lot of spare space in my brain to do anything else. If you like, I can't really concentrate, do that, and think what's for dinner tonight, as it were, or
there's a few tequilas, wasn't it? By the looks of it.
Well, alcohol was taken, which is not that common for me, but it certainly was taken on Saturday night, and I didn't.
It was
very much needed. Very much needed.
Yeah. So I suppose that's the thing. It's just like professionally, you've got to kind of keep going. I couldn't really tell you what I said. I mean, it's a lot. I suppose having 4 goals helped to give me something to talk about, but yeah, you just sort of meander through really, and your brain does what it does, and then like I say, it just there's something that sort of clicks in, and then to keep the show going until like you come off air, and then I was sort of wandering around in a bit of a daze, and the kind of reality of just how embarrassing that was for everyone with any kind of Swindon association sort of dawned really.
Sorry.
Go on, mate.
So Andrew, just trying to turn it to a little bit more of a positive note. When you're preparing for your commentaries and things like that, I know through the years you've come out with some real good lines that we all kind of think back at. Like day follows night, and it's Doyle, it's always Doyle kind of thing. Do you kind of practice them, or is it's just that comes naturally to you? Is it kind of?
I can say honestly, I suppose I think in the past, but probably before I was doing so, and very very occasionally, if there was like some big game or something like that, you probably wouldn't think about the exact words, but you might say you might think about the kind of thing you'd want to say if something happened. But I'd never write down in advance, because the whole purpose of the exercise is to try and kind of capture the moment as is, really. So you might know a sort of statistical landmark. So if someone's about to score and break a club record, then you're going to mention that in some way, if in a commentary or whatever. But the exact kind of the words or the way it comes out is always of the moment, and sometimes that means it's a bit chaotic. Occasionally that means it's really crap and you don't really capture the moment altogether. But I don't really think it kind of works as an honest product if you've got stuff written down in advance.
Yeah, no, just sort of key moments that you want to mention, but as and when they happen. But
yeah, like I said, that's more knowing that a statistical landmark is about to be broken rather than saying exactly. So if someone scores for 9 games in a row and that's not happened before, then you're going to mention that. But quite how it sort of gets worked into the moment and the type of goal and all that is down to how it unfolds. If you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Mm. So I mean, another role that you have to, I guess, at the moment endure is sort of other sort of media press duties in terms of press conferences and stuff. How have you personally found the last few weeks in terms of commentating, and also your sort of press interviews? Because I think there's been sound bites on like the Low Strangers podcast, for example, where they don't seem the most enjoyable interviews at present. How have you found them so far, or have you found them recently? Because I guess earlier in the season they were a joy.
Yeah, no. Okay, I think okay. I think I'd say on Saturday, for example, I think I was sort of expecting him to come out and be quite angry, but there was much more kind of shock on his face, really. I think you can kind of see that on the sort of club video one that he did. So a bit of kind of how the person comes into the room and how they look tempers your approach a little bit. I think they're a little bit more combative, but than they were at the start. That's kind of inevitable, partly because they aren't getting the results. But that that's fine. He's giving me a little bit back, which I actually take as quite a good sign, really, that you can have that kind of combative but not personal dig sort of relationship. I think that's probably quite good for the listener if he's feeling challenged or he wants to challenge me. That's all good. So I mean, okay. I found him all right. I found him all right to deal with so far. But I think he's pretty plain speaking. And if he thinks if he's not particularly impressed by his question, he'll sort of say the answer, and that is also fine as well. Because as long as it all has a kind of feel to it where you underlying each other, there's some respect on both sides, and it feels like there is. Then if it gets a bit heated, that's kind of the nature of the person being interviewed. It's hopefully all sort of authentic, if you like.
Yeah, I mean, I think at least it comes across as if he cares. I think you can tell, especially as you say, the YouTube interview that the club put out. You can see the hurt in his face. I think he was genuinely disgusted by what he'd seen on the pitch.
Come on, Joe. Oh, come on, Joe. Any manager in football is going to be disgusted by that, aren't they?
Mate, of course they would be, but obviously we don't want to sit there and I feel like sometimes you can look at a gaffer when he thinks he's in the shit or he's not fully in it. I think they come across sometimes a bit blasé. I think Mike Flynn genuinely looks.
Jody Morris.
Well, yeah, exactly. Jody Morris couldn't find a shit to give. I think you can see on Flynn's face he genuinely was fairly upset by it. Whether that's professionalism on his part, professionalism on the player's part.
Very embarrassing on his part, considering he just got that contract the day before.
Yeah, mate, exactly. So
that was clearly humiliating, I think, for him in a sense, to come out and have to answer questions about that. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a day that he won't be remembering too fondly in the future. But look, let's try and move on. So let's take some final takes on the game, because we've got many more enjoyable topics of discussion to rattle through. Daz, we've not heard your point of view on the Aldershot game, mate. Give me a breakdown of your eyes on it.
It was laughable, totally laughable. The only reason I stayed to the end of the game was just to watch history in the making, and it was just shocking, disgusting. Um, I never want to experience that ever again. I mean, I had members of my friends and family. They were texting me saying, "Are you all right? Are you okay?" There's another one went in, and they weren't taking the mickey or taking the piss. They were genuinely concerned because they thought this was going to be horrendous for me. I just found it quite laughable, and
Yeah.
just had to stay there to the end to see it all unfold. And I feel really sorry for Flynn because he's never gone out in the first round before, has he? So
No.
everything augured for it to happen, and well, so Swindon, yeah, it did, didn't it? By gosh.
I've written down on my notes here just to end the Aldershot take. I want to ask each of the panel this question as well, because also we've got a lot of different sort of ages and eras of supporting the football club. Daz, we'll start with you. Is this the most embarrassing defeat of your town supporting life?
Absolutely, 100%. Even 5-0 to Cheltenham in the cup was embarrassing, but this it pales beyond that. This is absolutely the worst.
Okay. Gabs, thoughts, mate? Most embarrassing defeat for you?
Yeah, it'll take a lot to top that, to be honest. I mean, the Latvian Premier League game I saw the week before probably had a better quality than Swindon.
Well, yeah, says a lot. Andrew, as a town supporter, did that one hurt most?
Um, yeah, playoff games are painful. Preston was pretty bad, but yeah, that's the worst individual 90 minutes. I think I could have gone to the game where Steve McMahon's side lost to Stevenage, where they're non-league and Swindon were what's now Championship. But I gather that was a kind of farce with a gale more than anything else. So, yep, worst. Yeah, yeah. I've given that a lot of thought. Is it the worst? And I keep coming back to yes, it is.
That's 3-0. Malk, what about you, mate?
Yeah, I was going to say Stevenage was pretty bad at the time. Yeah, I think as a one-off game, considering who they are, where they are, yeah, it's just unbelievable. But going back quickly to everyone's like the text messages, I was getting text messages from a friend I made in Wrexham that day when we played Wrexham. My friend from Banbridge in Northern Ireland asking me for some positives because I always got the positive thing to say, and he said even you can't be positive about that. And I said, well, we won the second half. That's literally all I could say. So yeah, that is well, it is.
And it didn't rain.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it didn't rain.
Rain goals,
and we won the
Dad.
second half.
It rain goals.
Yeah.
Charlie, what about you, mate? Obviously, are we going 5-0 here?
Yeah. Before the weekend, it would have been Preston, but Aldershot is the worst.
Yeah. Ellis, what about you, mate?
Yeah, in terms of embarrassment, definitely. I think in terms of like the pain, I think that's a different answer. Like obviously all the playoff games come to mind. Like Port Vale's obviously still fresh in the mind. That was sort of like a painful loss to take. But in terms of embarrassment, it was just it was just embarrassing. It was painful. It was pathetic, and it is a game that I would like to forget. But it's one of those games that happen very, very rarely, but one that sticks with you. And I can guarantee a lot of fans aren't going to forget that game for a long, long time.
No, absolutely not. We've also got Carly, who's just joined the panel. Carly, welcome to a really happy panel. How was Saturday for you?
Well, I don't know if you remember, but when you said it was going to be an easy win last week, I did say to you that I didn't think we would win, and I thought that they might put a few past us. Never expected to be sat there 7-0 down. I don't think it was one that hurt the most, but it definitely was the most bonkers game I've ever witnessed.
Absolutely. So I think I'd probably I probably phrased it wrong by saying hurt. Um, just a bit of a echo on Carly, so ooh, that's it. I'll mute Carly while she's not speaking, and then obviously when you are speaking, Carly, just jump off and mute, and just so we don't get the echo. But yeah, I probably phrased it wrong by saying it hurt the most. Obviously, the playoff games hurt the most, clearly, because you know you've had a whole season working up to one game, and then it goes to shit, and it feels like you've wasted 10 months of your life paying and supporting a side for ultimately nothing. Now, in terms of embarrassment, I think it's got to be up there because it got to the point where Aldershot was scoring goals, and I genuinely just didn't care. Like, the goals were going in. I looked at my phone and I was like, oh, 5-0, that's fine. 6-0, whatever. 7-0, yeah, it is what it is. That for me is sort of the tell. So I think the panel goes, it's 8-0 for the most embarrassing defeat of our town supporting lives. Just absolute toss, really. Anyway, let's move on to a little bit more of a more light-hearted and fun moment of the show. So, as part of our 100th episode celebrations, key sponsor Dan Designs has created a beautiful one-of-one limited edition county ground print to give away to one of you lovely lot. All you had to do to win the print was answer our trivia question correctly. So the question was, only 2 STFC players since 2020 have made 100 plus appearances for the club in all competitions. Who are they? Now, I've not actually told the panel the answers to this question. So, I mean, panel, anyone want to jump in with some answers? Any guesses?
No.
Brilliant.
Surely we can't give the competition answers away, can we? Or have I missed something?
Well, Charlie's about to announce the winner of the competition, so it's already been chosen. So if anyone knows the answers or wants to have a go, then you're welcome to jump in before I say it. But
I'm pretty
Handle
sure one of them's Rob Hunt, I think.
one is Rob Hunt, yep.
Yeah.
Alex?
I don't know the other one.
Malcolm, you are spot on, mate. Ellis Angelo. So I think they're pretty much made exactly the same. I think it's about 105 appearances in all comps. So yeah, Rob Hunt, Ellis Angelo. They are the 2 players that have made over 100 appearances for the club since the year 2020. Now, Charlie, who is our winner?
The winner is Ollie Smitherman on Instagram.
Lovely stuff. So, Ollie, get in touch. Send us a DM with your address, and we'll get that print sent out to you. Make sure you get it pride of place somewhere because it is the only one in the entire world. So, yeah, nice little moment. Thank you very much, Dan, for designing it and providing it for a giveaway to celebrate the show's 100th episode. Means a lot. He's done a lot for us over the last year or so. So, yeah, definitely go out and check out Dan Designs. He's got a lot of lovely prints. It's cool to stick on your wall if it's in the office or in your bedroom. And I don't work in advertisement, so I'm going to stop. Look, let's move on. Let's go back to the football, shall we? Let's raise the anger levels again. So, last night, the Reds looked to lick their wounds and get back to winning ways in the league as they travelled to Colchester United in search for much-needed 3 points. Town made 2 changes to the side that took a pasting on Saturday. So, Dan Kemp and Liam Kinsella came into the side in place of Harrison Minturn and the suspended Saidu Khan. Let's start very quickly with the first half, because I thought the first half was okay. It was a good performance. I think we bounced back pretty well from Saturday. It looked as if there was a response. We started on the front foot. Jake Young, great goal early on, driven left foot shot into the far corner.
Wonder of a goal.
Mate, it was a good finish. And I said last week, I think Jake Young's starting to see, even on a personal level, you're starting to see a bit more confidence back in him,
Yeah.
which is a good thing. But we had plenty of chances. I think Charlie missed a decent header. I mean, it was a tough chance, but he's pulled it wide. And maybe for a striker of his calibre, you think try and get it on target if you can. Obviously, he wasn't trying to miss. I'm not saying that, but we were a much better side in the first half. It seemed like a great response, didn't it?
Yeah. Look, it didn't help that obviously Colchester were not the best side in the first half, but in terms of Town's performance, there was definitely a response there. We were a lot quicker. with the ball. Through the thirds, I think our defending was a lot better, and sort of just creating opportunities was again a lot better. But it was just there was still something missing. And especially against an opponent like Colchester, you're hoping to be dominant throughout, and going 1-0 up at half time is decent in itself. But then obviously the second half come, and we looked a different side. I don't know what happened in the changing room over half time, but it was like two
It was
different
absolutely
teams.
pathetic. That's what it was. It was pathetic. Honestly, it's pathetic. It was a complete waste of everyone's time at travel there. That second half. What was the fucking point? Honestly.
Yeah, look, it wasn't great.
My teams want reactions. You got a reaction in the first 45, and is that it? You thought, you know what? Yeah, we lost, conceded 7 at the weekend. That's it now. Fans are all right with that now. We'll just stop playing.
Look, I understand. I understand that we've got no we speak about it every week. We haven't got the best depth in the world, but sure, the players can't be that tired.
Mate, there's more depth in a children's swimming pool at the minute than our squad.
Exactly.
I saw someone tweet actually in response to Swindon when there was them getting off the coach. I think it's 3 players getting off the coach, and someone responded going, "Yep, that's the squad then." We've been having the same conversation since August about squad depth, and it's like the clowns upstairs, like the monkeys that have the gongs. They're just going.
I hope that's your hands, Mr. Bennany.
Yeah.
No, that Kelsey's doing the clapping impression while I'm ranting here.
Jesus Christ, Ellis, save us.
Gav, stop. Look, Gavs, like you said, it was the second half was just it was a completely different side to what happened in the first half. I mean, I don't get it. It was 2 different sides, and fatigue. I respect and I understand that fatigue comes into play, but it couldn't have been that bad that we lost 3-0 in the second half, and
I mean it started off with an own goal from Kinsella, within what was it, 2 minutes?
Yeah, and the goals that we conceded could have just been easily prevented with a bit of defending. We're just leaking goals at the minute. I mean, it's 10 goals in 2 games that we've conceded.
It's like I said earlier. Are they doing defensive work on the training pitch? Seriously, are they?
We can score goals. There's no doubt about it. We've got goals in this side, but it's just we're just letting goals in too easily. First half, we were doing all right. We were cutting the ball off. The players were quick. Were quick on the press, but second half it completely changed, and the players looked lethargic, and there was no desire there. If you know what I mean, it was a painful watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I put a tweet out asking for all of your thoughts as listeners after the full-time whistle last night, and boy, were the responses positive. Not. Let's just rattle through a couple and we'll percolate. So I just put thoughts and a scared Mr. Bean gif because if I'm tweeting, it's usually followed with a gif. Yeah. Now, Ryan Jones, I think, simply he took my response. He took my sort of approach and replied with a gif and no words. It was a man taking his shades off, looking at a huge pile of shit. I think that's fair enough. Yeah. I can't probably put it better than myself. Craig Clark responded, I thought we were largely dominant in the first half, but we didn't bother coming out for the second. Squad depth is embarrassing, and whilst Flynn denies it and Clem fails to mention it, cost-cutting and penny pinching has cost us. What's the saying? Failed to prepare. Now, Craig, I'm not too sure that, any of those sentiments are, at all divided across the fan base. I think even on the show, the panel tonight have probably echoed your thoughts there. Ben Pieman Nichols from the Force Rush In podcast, short but sweet, we're horseshit and we're going to get relegated. So that was
When
a
he's
that was a
being
nice
negative, when
nice
he's being
positive one.
negative, you
So
know the end is nigh. The end is nigh when he's being
yeah,
negative.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to include it, but it made me laugh, so I put it in there.
Okay, should we just
Mate,
touch on that point quickly?
no lie, we went from 200 to 1 yesterday for relegation to 100 to 1
Yeah,
after that
look,
performance.
we're not getting relegated this season. I don't think that's on the table.
We're
But
definitely not going to get relegated.
look, what's our recent results? We've lost 5 and 6 or something like that. Something like that. It's our recent run of form isn't great, and like we've said, it's the defensive errors that is costing us. I don't know what that's down to. I don't know. Are we lacking leadership at the back? Or are we lacking sort of a big imposing centre back? Is it squad depth? Is it the players are just fatigued and tired from playing the games? I don't know what it is, but something isn't right. Something isn't working.
I think questions have got to be asked of the manager now. I've seen people starting to ask questions because I just want to know what they're doing on the training pitch. Genuinely.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be leaking that many goals at this point in the season. Surely you're working on something on the training ground to stop leaking goals.
The frustrating thing is, we know we can play football. We've played really well in the start of the season. Again, like Crawley, for example, where we absolutely dicked them. We looked phenomenal. Wrexham, that first half, we absolutely dominated the first half and parts of the second. We know this team can play football. We know this team can deliver on the pitch. But when you're playing Colchester, you can't be, going from 1-0 up at half time to then losing 3-1. And you can't. Same said about Saturday. You can't go 7-0 down to a National League side. It's just all of these results are just going against us, and we're just not performing.
I think it's a combination of two things, to be honest. One is we've been found out, and everyone knows how we play now. Everything comes up through Fraser, Blake Tracy, and don't give him anyone to pass to, close him down, job done. And also confidence, because they're lacking confidence now. They're not making those moves. They're not getting into the space for him to pass to. They're not going through the midfield like they were in the first 10 games of the season. And it's we've been found out, and confidence. That's what I think.
The thing is, we play such a, especially at the start of the season, we're so at all times, like when we're attacking, we've got one defender back, and it's push everyone forward. We're so open to the counter. Like against Aldershot, I think we were like 5-6-0 down, and we've got a corner and we've got one defender back. It's like I understand we got to score goals, but we've had plenty of games now where teams can do their research, and it doesn't take a genius to figure out that we're always open for the counter, and it's just we're so open at the back, and it takes one through ball and the defender's in. The third goal last night is the prime example to that.
Thing is, with the third goal last night, I think you have to go for it, don't you? You're 2-1. You have to just shove everything in the box for a corner. I think the third goal last night, it kind of is what it is. I think
it's just something's not right. Something's not working, and nothing's changing. So something needs to change.
Charlie, mate, you got your hand up patiently.
So I saw on Twitter yesterday I saw one person saying it was the defenders, one person saying it was the like we need a defensive coach, or it is the defensive coach the problem. I just want to know what the panel thinks.
I mean, I don't know if we've got defensive coaches. I think obviously last year we actually had one named.
We definitely don't have a defensive coach.
Well, yeah. The thing is, it's a freak result, and I'm not too sure I've got the capabilities, both footballing wise in terms of nous and knowledge of how defenders need to be working in different operations. But we just, someone's saying I'm talking shit. I don't know. Is it my
Yeah,
answer?
look, Joe. I know what you're trying to say. We're not football experts. We can't go in there and do a better job than they're doing. But you know, when we conceded 10 goals in 2 games, it is clear to anyone looking in that there is a defensive error in this side. There is something that is fundamentally not working. And Charlie's point, is it the coaches or is it the players? I think individually the players are good. Godwin Malif, I think is class on his day. Blake Tracy is on his day one of our better players in the side. Brewitt again started this season fantastically. And then you've obviously got Clayton, who's always injured. Minturn is only young; he's only breaking into the first team, so you can't put too much pressure on him. And then obviously you got your wing back. You got Hutton, who I think's been one of our better players this season. So individually, they all can perform. They've all played well for us in spells this season. But sort of the past 4 or 5 games, is it as a unit? I don't know. Something's just not working.
Yeah, I mean, I echo those thoughts, mate. Clearly, there's something that's not right in terms of the defensive structure of the team. And I'm sure that Mike Flynn's been a manager at this level for a very long time. So you need to, well, you expect him to be focusing on that area of our team intently at the moment. Just a couple more of the tweets that came through. Charlie Heath said, Flynn can only do a job with the players he's got. He can't do much more. These players are tired and they're tried. They're running to the ground. Not a lot we can do. Just got to grin and bear it till January. Hope that so-called wonderful owner buys players who want to play for the badge and give Flynn some backing. He also put Clem out, Flynn in. So, don't sit on the fence there, Charlie. The final comment I've put on here, which I quite liked, from Mike Dixon. He just replied, 100 episodes is an impressive achievement. Thank you. Not talk about the game. I like that.
Yeah, thank you. Bit of positivity.
So, looking at the league table, so after the last 2 results, MK Dons and obviously last night at Colchester, Town slumping down to 7th in the league, 3 points off of the playoffs, but it is very, very tight. I mean, down to 13th, there's 2 points difference. Yeah, I mean, Malk, a couple of weeks ago, we were saying, we're in and around playoffs, we were teetering around 3rd. We have slumped. Is this just a dip in form? Do we have that positivity still?
I hope so. I'm really lost for words. That's very rare. No, just I back Flinny. I think he genuinely, you can see how upset he was when we lose. And I don't think other managers do show that to the same degree. It is a slump. We knew we were going to have a little bit of a purple patch. I don't think we realised it was going to be quite this bad. But and then you look at the team we've got coming up next, and then you think, oh dear. I'm just finding it hard to be positive, but I'll still be going. I'll still go every week and beat that. But it's just really hard at the moment. But it only takes one kind of game and everything can change. So you got to look on the positive side as much as possible. But yeah, it is difficult at the moment, to be fair.
Absolutely. Daz, your thoughts, mate? Obviously, we've got a tough game on Saturday. I think Stockport are one of the favourites to storm the division, really, and now so they're top of the league. How are you feeling going into Saturday and further?
Well, I mean, I'd like to say they're going to batter us 5-0 because I'm always wrong. But I think it'll be 3-0, to be honest. Oh, I know we're not doing predictions yet, but no, I don't know. I mean, every game's different. You've got to forget what's gone on. You look forward to the next game. And the next game is Stockport County. Yeah, they're flying high, doing well. Football inside. Oh, do you know what? They'll let us play football as well. And then perhaps, we can actually sort of show what we can do. And I think you've got to look positive. No point in being negative. It doesn't work. See what happens on the day. And go from there, mate. It's this doom and gloom. It really annoys me, because it achieves absolutely nothing. Let's try and be positive and find some positivity, because negativity breeds negativity. Positivity breeds positivity. Let's be positive. Let's try and lift this side. They're not out there thinking, oh well, that was shit. They feel it. You saw Jake Young in that post-match interview last night. He was gutted, absolutely gutted, and they're hurting as well. And so you keep telling them they're shit, then they're going to believe it. So don't just forget it. Just move on.
It is hard though. It is hard not to tell them they're shit though. People like Chris, for example. Chris is,
but they're
gone all
not.
the way
I mean,
from
they're not.
Doncaster.
They're doing something we dream of, or absolutely dream to be on that pitch. Even at 63 years old, I would dream of being on that pitch doing what they do. But and they're not shit, because they're there, they're playing, and I don't take it, and it really winds me up when people say it. And I had to tell the kids in the town end on Saturday, shut up. It doesn't help.
Yeah, look, Daz, I echo that. I think during the game, what use does abusing the players have? Like, I fully appreciate you're paying your hard-earned money to go watch them, but it doesn't. Just because you're paying that money, it doesn't give you the right to abuse the players at all. I think if you go 1-0 down, get behind the team. If you getting behind the team is going to do so much more than if you just abuse them. It's just there's no need for it. I think after the game, I can understand a bit more, but during the game, it's not useful. It's not helpful.
To be honest, before or after, really, I wouldn't. What's the point in abusing? What are you exactly going to achieve? That's why it's honest. When I think it's shit, I just fuck off.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to achieve anything really. Shouting and screaming at them, I just fuck off.
Yeah,
I'm not happy. I pay for it at the end of the day. If I don't want to see it, I just go.
That's the thing. Yeah, I mean,
A lot of people
I
need
don't
to
think
do
you
that
should
as well.
ever. I don't think you should ever abuse a football player at all. Just because they played shit, it doesn't warrant the abuse. But like you said, Gabs, just if you don't like it, just go elsewhere. You don't need to. Like, I'm seeing people tagging players on their posts, calling them out. It's like tagging family members. What's that going to achieve? I don't get it. They're not going to see it and go, oh, this fella tweeted me today. I better score a goal tomorrow. It's not gonna do anything apart from get on their nerves.
Well, it's the end of the day, it's their workplace, and anyone that writes the stuff that they've put on Twitter and on social media, and they wouldn't, if they were working in an office, for instance, they wouldn't expect 10 other people just come off the street and just stand in front of their desk and abuse them. It's and to the levels that they do it, it's just disgusting sometimes. And to say I've got the right to do it because I pay the money, you've got the right to have your opinion, but you haven't got the right to abuse someone to that degree. That is just not on. That's just wrong.
Yeah. I just obviously there was the talk on Twitter of the whole Charlie Austin fiasco last night. You can't, it gets to a point where the players are just going to end up getting pissed.
I mean, can you really blame him? Can you blame him?
I mean, if someone called me a fat bastard, and offered me out for a fight, I'm not gonna just stand there and take it. It's like I get it. They got to be professional. They're professional football players. And look, I don't know the full story. I wasn't there. Charlie might have gone up to the fan and offered him out right there, right then. But from what I've heard, it was the other way around, and the fan was calling him out, abusing him. You can't blame him for biting at that.
And he'd been the first one to run if Charlie had done anything and gone into that stand. I can tell you that for nothing.
Exactly. It's like the moment, like if we start winning again and we're going on a massive, unbeaten streak, this will all be it won't be forgotten, but those fans will go a bit quieter, and it's just get behind the players. Don't just because the players will see it, and it does a lot more harm than good than when you abuse a player or just tweet.
It's the age old thing about maybe it's not just Swindon, but obviously I've got more experience in Swindon and other grounds. You go to places when they're not doing well and they'll turn on them as well. But we just seem to be the most negative fans. I think, showing my age, you go back to the 90s before you ever had, we go 1-0 down and the crowd would still be with us. Or maybe under Wellings, maybe, possibly. But it's very rare. You go 1-0 down and we're already like halfway to defeat. And it's we should be the other way around. We should be right behind them. We should be louder when we go 1-0 down to show that we are still there and we want them to win.
Yeah, look, Malcolm, I think there's definitely a fine line. I mean, especially after Saturday. I'm not saying, the players were shit on Saturday. They were awful. I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying you can't call the players shit. It's when you're just targeting them and abusing them. You get nothing out of it. But like after Saturday's result and after last night, the players were shit. They didn't play well. There's no brushing over that, and it's just I'm rambling, but I think you all get my point.
I think we understand what you're saying, mate. Charlie, you got your hand up, buddy.
I've just read another point of the Charlie Austin thing, and apparently it started because Tom went to see his dad and people started slating him, and then players like Charlie came over, and then he got threatened to be knocked out or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, he's a human being. If you're threatening violence to a professional footballer, regardless of whether or not you think you're paying your money to see them perform, which is fair enough, don't go and threaten violence.
How sad have you got to be? How sad have you got to be to go travel up to Colchester on Tuesday night, lose, throw your toys out the pram, and then offer out a football player?
Exactly.
Just get in your car and drive home.
Yeah.
Like, Joe, how would you feel if I come to your work, sat behind you, you fucked something up on accident, and I just called you a fat prick? Like, are you just gonna
you're boxing, Ellis, so I'd probably shake your hand and make you a cup of tea and try and tuck you into bed.
Thank you, but look, you get my point. Just because you're paying to watch them does not give you the right to go and abuse them.
No, absolutely not. Andrew, you've got your hand up.
I was just going to say, maybe people who are on different sides of the ground will count me wrong, but for Saturday, given it was historically bad, I actually thought, in a sense, the crowd was all right. It didn't really turn on them during the game. Booed them off at half time. 4-0 down at home to a non-league side have also hit the post. That seems fair. Booed them off at full time. But I kind of think in between, people just dealt with it with a better level of acceptance rather than really kind of turning on people as it would have been very easy to do. So I think that was pretty reasonable. There's obviously a contingent of people who delight in tagging players on social media. I think that's all something that bewilders 98% of us. If you want to go and say how blank terrible they all are, that's what your private WhatsApp groups are for. You don't need to give the players that. But just in terms of how people were there on Saturday, or the ones that stayed, I guess I
I didn't feel like there were any lines crossed there.
Andrew, following on from that, really, I mean, anyone that went to Wrexham can sort of, can say the same. But we were obviously at Wrexham. We were 4-1 up at half time, and it was the best atmosphere I've experienced at a football game. And from the Wrexham fans, their home support behind the goal, it was like they sucked the ball into the net. They were like a 12th man, and you can see that the impact that their fans had on that game was clear to see. I mean, going 4-1 down at halftime, you could quite easily, just want to. You could quite easily want to go home or boo the players or whatever, but their fan base got behind the players, and like I said, they were like a 12th man, and I think they were a massive part in the reason why they come back to drew that game 5-5.
I think that's that is true, but I think they have had like 2.5 years of success with a sort of quite a lot of that group of players, and that buys them a lot of goodwill when they're 4-1 down at half time, having just come into a higher division that I'm not sure our fans have got with like the current squad who we've seen kind of sort of limp their way a bit to 10th last season, if you like. But no, I absolutely get your point that what fans do really can have an impact, and players do say so. I don't always think that's the PR talking. I think sometimes, probably depending on the personalities involved, I think it can make a difference. And at Wrexham it absolutely did, because they just piled forward.
100%.
So, I mean, I've just in the time try and wind down on a sort of a look towards Saturday. Now, what needs to change in order for us to get better, and what needs to change in order to get a win on Saturday? Gabs, give me a rundown, mate, because I'll take a prediction as well off you as well. But can you see us getting anything from Saturday? If we do, what's changing?
I get paid on Friday, and to be honest, it's very tempting to just put the whole month's wage on Stockport, to be honest.
Do it, mate, because Sod's Law means we'll win.
It's going to be a long fucking day, isn't it?
Yeah.
The thought already is just paining me. It's just paining me. And then the worst thing is I'm going to Chelsea, got Man City the following day. It's just going to be a bad weekend all around. I can see it already.
Right, it'll be all right.
Like, I want to say park the bus, but we're at home. No one wants to see that, do they?
Mate, sometimes you have to try and stop the rot. Like, regardless if you're home or you're away, I think a lot of us were taking 0-0 on Saturday.
So haven't they won, 9 games in a row?
Yeah.
10 games in a row?
They're top of the league by 5 points. Won 11 out of 16, drawn 2, lost 3. Goal difference is 17. I know Louis Barry's injured, but he was flying as well. They're not a bad side. I mean, put your sensible cap on for a second, mate. I know the anger is brewing in you, but prediction-wise on Saturday, genuinely, what do you think it would be?
3-1 Stockport, maybe? Thing is, it wouldn't be surprising if we went 1-0 up as well. We'll probably do exactly what we did on Tuesday.
Yeah, mate, I can see that.
It seems to be the common theme, though, doesn't it? We start wow, and then it gets leggy. So we'll see. Yeah, I reckon 3-1 Stockport. Probably the same pattern as Tuesday.
Well, I mean, Daz, what are your thoughts, mate? I mean, we know that this team can win games of football, and we know this team can score goals, but we just need to see something different, don't we? Do you think that's able to be? I don't know what I'm trying to say. Are we going to get dicks on Saturday after that?
3-0, mate. I can't see any other way. Hopefully I'm wrong. I'm usually wrong, so 3-0 Stockport.
Yeah, that's a saving grace. I mean, Malk, what are your thoughts, buddy? Bring me some positivity. Bring the positive vibe.
Well, if you look back in history, when we play teams that are at the top, and we normally play a little bit better, we normally raise our game, and it has been known to have better results against the top teams at the top than we do at the bottom. So I think sometimes just need a bit of luck as well. Maybe just a deflected goal and snatch it 1-0 right in the last minute or something. Just so much, just to hang on to and give that players that little bit of a lift. But yeah. We shouldn't be scared of any team in this league, should we? We should be able to match them. They are a good team, don't get me wrong, but we shouldn't be scared of them. We should go out there, give them the respect that they deserve, and then play our stuff as well. So, come on.
I will take that. I mean, give us a score prediction, because that was half positive. I'm liking it.
I'll go for 1-0. 1-0 smash and grab. Why not?
Mate, that'll do. Carly, we've not heard from you for a while. What are your thoughts on Saturday?
Well, it wouldn't be totally beyond the realms of expectations for Swindon to concede 10 goals in 2 games and then go and win 4-0 or something ridiculous like that. So I was going to say something similar to Malcolm, but I'm going to go 3-0 to Town.
Well, I will take that. That would be perfect. Andrew, give us a professional's point of view.
Okay, I'll try and put on my optimism hat here. I think last season Stockport came, obviously teams switched a little bit round. We had a man sent off after 60 seconds, I think it was, wasn't it? Wakeling got dismissed right at the start. Yeah. It took a lot of effort for them to win 1-0. So, I know they're in good form, but maybe they're not that frightening touch. You can hear me touching cheap Formica there rather than Wood. I just think they've clearly got to do some defensive work. There just seems a lot of space between the centre halves at times. I'm sure Stockport would enjoy that as much as everyone else. Yeah, it's given the respective form, you'd have to look at a probable away win, but I'm not sure any side. As you say, I'm not sure any side at League Two is truly frightening to face with the squad we've got. Good, but not frightening.
No,
I avoided saying a score there, didn't I? Very good.
Go on, give us a score.
It feels like maybe a 2-1 or something for Stockport, but hopefully with a decent performance from us and things to take out of it. Let's put the guarded optimism up to that level.
Well, we'll take that. I'll take that. Ellis, round us off, buddy. End us off with a win, shall we?
Well, I predicted 6-1 for Aldershot. That's a 6-1 win for Town. So I was quite far off there. Look, I'm hoping for a reaction from Saturday and a reaction from the second half last night. We always seem to play better against the better teams in the league. I think we're going to go 2-0 down. It's going to be 2-0 at half time, and we're going to come back and win 3-2 with a hat trick from Mr. Dan Kemp. And I'm feeling weirdly positive about it. I don't doubt that we can see some goals, but I think we're going to have a point to prove. And look, we need to get some at least 1 point back on the board.
Yeah, completely agree. And as I say, 2 down, winning 3-2. Dan Kemp Patrick, give it to me, hook it to my veins. Charlie, I'm sorry, mate. I said rounding us off with Ellis there. I haven't forgot you. Give us a score prediction for Saturday.
Can't forget me and my in-depth scores. So last week I predicted us to win 3-1. Clearly that didn't go very well.
Not very well.
I'm going to go 2-0 down at half time.
Okay.
Second half, Jake Young is going to score in the first 5 of the second half, and Dan Kemp's going to get 2.
Well, again, we'll take that, mate. We'll take that. I'll swing this with a short one. I think we're going to draw 2-2. I think Jake Young scores both. I'd love to see us win. It's a tough ask. I think Stockport are going to win the league. I think they're going to piss it, if I'm honest. But this is Swindon Town. We don't do things the easy way. We're unpredictable. We all know what we're like. will probably go and win 7-4. Let's face it. Just before we end the show, an update on Swindon Town Women's Football Club. So the girls travelled to 4th place Moneyfields on Sunday. Going into the 89th minute, they were 3-1 down. It was all looking a bit bleak for the Reds, but step up TSTBL official athlete and regular goal botherer, Annie Colston, who netted twice in injury time to complete her hat-trick and salvage a valuable point for the Reds as they stay third in the WPL Division 1. We do have a You Know the Drill video with the girls that we advertised a few weeks ago. It's in the works, it's being edited. It'll be out on the Swindon Town official YouTube page shortly, so check that out. It's a real good video. I mean, Annie Colson's in it scoring goals. Night is day, whatever. Andrew would be best to commentate because he's a wordsmith and I'm not. Well, I suppose at that point, that probably just about brings an end to a pretty eventful 100th show. As always, thank you for joining us this evening, and thank you for joining us for the last 100 episodes. We are the Tom Broadbent Lounge. We're an independent X space, and the views that have been expressed tonight most certainly are not those of either Swindon Town Football Club nor Sir Tom himself. Thank you very much once again for listening, and come on, you Reds.